Hey, coach, I'm just curious what the mindset or the message is as you turn the page, from the end of the regular season. Maybe you didn't finish up the way you wanted to, but postseason play is kind of an entirely new set of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we look at obviously the way that we ended, we would have liked, we're so close at Alabama, and you look at our schedule, Curtis, in league, and the five teams that we played twice, four of them are top four seeds in the SEC tournament, and Bama being one, and A&M two, and Kentucky three, and Missouri four, and so it was a difficult end of the season for sure. Four of our last six games were against teams that are top 25 teams. But you're right, this is a second season for us. We should have excitement going into Nashville. Obviously, we leave today, and then when you look at our first opponent, Auburn, and you only have one opponent right now until you're able to advance, if you're fortunate enough to do that. But we're going to need several things from different guys. Defensively, Devo picked up two quick fouls in that Auburn game, one of them being a 4-point play to start the game. So we're going to need Devo to stay out of foul trouble. That'll be one thing going into the game, because he's so important to us from a defensive standpoint. And then when we look at experience in this tournament, Devo's pretty important, because he's the one guy that has experience in this tournament, and then Kamani's got a little as well. So both those guys, I think are going to have some importance in this postseason play.
Yeah, you mentioned Auburn. I wanted to ask you about Broome. He's a guy that leads them in several statistical categories. Just what do you need to see from your front court to maybe come out ahead in that matchup?
Yeah, well, first of all, Broome's, in my opinion, an all league type player. He's a hard cover, and then you have to worry about their guards and their wing, guys like Flanagan at the wing. So they got a lot of offensive weapons that you try to game plan against. We need our front court to play better than what we've played of late. And so I've mentioned Kamani, because Kamani brings something to our team as far as experience goes. And obviously we know we have a young roster, and we know that we have a lot of guys that this will be their first experience in conference play. And how our front line plays out in this first game, not really sure. Obviously Kamani, the Mitchell twins, Graham, all those guys, how we defend Broome is still a work in progress. We had one practice yesterday where we looked at several different ways to guard both their up front guys, and then maybe trying to guard their backcourt a little bit differently as well. Bob?
Hey, Eric, how you doing? Nice,
Good,
nice sweatshirt. Hey, I wrote this down. When we talked to Kamai the other day, he said a couple of things. One I'm not going to say, but he said March is when men come to play basketball. I was wondering, is that something you've talked about? What do you think about that? And kind of what does that mean to you in terms of, resetting and postseason runs and all that kind of stuff like you guys have had the last couple of years?
Yeah, I think that, I think we were able to make runs, the last, 2 years, and even, quite frankly, even the year that it was shut down for the pandemic. I think that, I've talked about, us winning that first game in the tournament, and the confidence that Isaiah, Joe, and, Mason in his heart thought we were going to win that tournament. And, no one knows at all how that would play out, but that team was very confident as well at this point of the season. So I think with this team is, just again, with a lot of young guys, just getting them to understand that this is a new season. Going to come down to probably one possession in many of these games. You're watching the games in the other conference tournaments that have played out. There's been some incredibly exciting games, and Auburn's very well coached, and they got a lot of veterans. As I've looked at the experience on their roster, I mean, Flanagan, number 22, has played in these tournaments, and Chris Moore has, and Jasper and Green and Johnson. I mean, they got a lot of guys. Williams, who's an excellent scorer and rebounder at the power forward spot. So they have a lot of guys back that were in this tournament last year. So, we've got to understand from a preparation standpoint that Auburn does have more experience in this setting than we do.
And you mentioned Flanagan. He's obviously an Arkansas kid, and he signed with Auburn before you were even in. You were at Nevada when he did that. But I know before the last game, he talked about being motivated because Arkansas didn't offer him. Like I said, that was a previous staff, and I know you recruited more, but he talked about being motivated because Arkansas fans got mad at him when he signed with Auburn. I guess guys are always looking for stuff. Well, Flanagan in particular is a real veteran player. Well, what do you thought of his season, and then Chris Moore as well, and maybe the extra motivation Arkansas kids have to play the Razorbacks?
Yeah, I mean, I think for sure, with Flanagan, I mean, since I've been in the league, I think he's an incredible player. I think he's got potential to play at the next level because of his versatility. He can make threes, and when he shoots, jump shots, he's one of those players that can elevate over people. There's not a lot of players that have the ability to rise up over you. And has also, got great dribble drive game as well. So, I mean, I think that Flanagan's one of the best players in the league, and Chris Moore is a relentless offensive rebounder and plays really hard and is an excellent defender. And this is a deep team. I mean, Auburn's a really, really deep team. They were in the top 20 for a lot of the year. So hard game to play, in your first game in a conference tournament.
And free throws, I guess I've asked you a lot about them lately, and there's only probably so much you can do. But that game at Auburn, you guys lost by 13. You missed 13 free throws. I know you're probably not going to hit 30, go 32 for 32. That's not realistic. But that's the first time I kind of remember free throws, coming into play, kind of rearing that ugly head. And it's been, you've had some games you shot them great, and you've had, recently it's been a struggle. Kind of what are you seeing there? And it seemed like y'all shot them better early in the year. Do you think guys are pressing, or is it because, the SEC games are tougher, or what do you think's been going on? Because it's like 4 games in a row now.
Yeah, I mean, I think with youth and inexperience, in the SEC play, I think maybe that's affected our free throw shooting and affected some closing in close games. But now everybody's got a full college season, under their belt, and everybody on our roster, even the transfers, have now played, a full SEC. And so now you go into the conference tournament, and you got, one game to focus on, and we'll continue to work on free throw shooting, and you want guys to step up to the line and have great confidence, because a lot of free throw shooting is confidence and blocking out, anything other than the ball and the rim. And so, we did some free throw shooting drills yesterday, and we'll continue to do them today.
Okay, I might have a couple more, but I'll turn it back to Mike. Thanks, Eric.
Scotty.
Yeah, Eric, on Saturday you mentioned Kentucky's DHO game bothered y'all. I'm curious, what are the keys to defending those a bit more effectively?
I think physicality, understanding, is the team trying to, shoot threes behind them, is the team trying to turn the corner. And that's the pick and roll game, the DHO game, that's everybody's dilemma every night. It's usually, point of emphasis: 1, pick and roll; 2, DHO game; 3, how are you playing post defense; 4, how are you dealing with screens, whether they're down screens, cross screens, or up screens. So those are kind of the 4 areas that as a staff and as a team, you've got to decide how you want to play different things. And just like in the pick and roll game, I mean, we'll go down, go through a plan A, go through a plan B, and then we'll ask guys like Devo, who's involved in much of that action, how do you feel most comfortable guarding this particular player? in this game, and then we'll ask our bigs the same thing. So I think that, you know, we've done, I mean, defensively, we've been a pretty good team most of the year. You know, we've had some great defensive efforts, and then we've had some other efforts like the Kentucky game, maybe where we didn't defend as well as we need to win a game.
Ricky, the last couple of days has landed on the AP and the coach's second team. What have been your thoughts on the year he's had, and what do you want to see from him, I guess, this postseason?
Yeah, I mean, obviously third in the SEC in scoring, and you know, he basically doubled up his scoring and his assist totals from last year. So, you know, you would say that, you know, he transferred up maybe a little bit conference wise, but yet his stats doubled. So we've relied on him a lot. You know, he's come off the bench for us of late. He started for us. You know, we need him to play really, really well for us to play at our best, because again, anytime you have a player that's the third leading scorer in the conference, that's a heavy load to carry every single night. So we're going to need Ricky, now that we're in postseason play, to have good games for us.
What have you thought about maybe the production that he's given you off the bench? I mean, I think until the Alabama game, he'd started every game, and then he started a lot more, and he'd been coming off the bench lately. What did you thought of maybe the way he's adjusted there?
I think his adjustment's been phenomenal. I mean, Coach Ruda put in the group thread that we have amongst our staff, his what he's done over the last 5 games is his production actually went up slightly in a lot of areas. Having said that, as we continue to just try to figure out who we're going to start for Auburn, I mean, we could change the starting lineup. We're still talking to the team about matchups, but his productivity, you know, surprisingly, and whether he started or not, I think he played 35 minutes or whatever against Kentucky. So 35 minutes is starter minutes. And I think Ricky understands that whatever role we ask him, whether it's coming off the bench or whatever, he's been a heavy minute player and a heavy production minute guy for us.
Bob, you got your follow-up ready?
Oh yeah, always ready. Eric, looking at the box from the last game, Wendell Green had 19, I think. What do you think of him? What about that game and just his season and the challenges he presents?
Yeah, Green, I mean, you look at his stats at home, he's been so productive. And then he's had big games on the road as well. I mean, he's a guy that they have several players that can bust out for 20 plus games. And those guys in particular are, you know, Broom, Williams, Flanagan, Green, and Johnson. Those 4 players. There's not a lot of teams in any league that have 4 guys that can have 20 plus games. So all 4 of those guys on their roster are all capable of 20 plus nights. And Green, he's got deep range. He likes to take big shots with game on the line, and he can dribble drive as well. So that's what makes him a tough cover.
Squeeze one more in, and you're one of those teams that have 4 guys, maybe more, that could score 20. But you know, kind of following up on what we've been talking a little bit about the second season. I mean, how do you feel? Because you've obviously had a lot of tournament experience in the Mountain West and now here in the SEC, and even when you were an assistant. So kind of how do you feel, you know, about the team? You know, how do you feel about these guys going in, and just where do you think the confidence level is with you, the staff, the players, everybody?
Well, I mean, hopefully I'm always confident and have great belief in the team. You know, I mean, I'm not taking any shots. I mean, you know, we need the team to feel confident. We need the team to believe that we can win. And I think that this team has that. I mean, I thought yesterday's practice was good. I think they're looking forward to getting to Nashville and getting settled in, and having an open shooting in the arena that we're going to play, because tomorrow will be the only time we won't get into that arena on Thursday. So, I mean, I'm hopeful and think that this team is excited to go play again. But you know, we have an opponent that's going to be excited too, and that's what makes these games so competitive. sure everybody on Auburn's excited as well. And that's the mentality that everybody should have.
How many polos are you packing?
As many as their potential games could be.
Okay. Do you pack or does Danielle pack for you?
I packed, I asked her to fold the polos, but I had to do them myself today for whatever reason. Maybe we needed to win one of those last 3 for her to pack for me.
Okay. I'm sure you do an
Thanks,
excellent
Coach.
job.
Appreciate your time.
Thanks, you guys.